So yes, today is the day. After purchasing this property recently, today I'm going to see if I can get through all of this and see what's inside the abandoned barn. So yes, today is the day, and I've got an awful lot to clear, but I think I'm going to have to be a little bit strategic to be able to get through to this abandoned barn. You see, the area that I've got to clear in total is probably 20 metres by 10, but I don't need all of that cleared to get through to the barn, and that's just going to take me too long. So I think my strategy is going to be to go down this fence line and maybe underneath these trees. But I've got some challenges. First of all, not only is this area full of stinging nettles and brambles, but underneath this I've got a feeling that there's going to be all kinds of things. At the end I can see an old bath and a microwave, so I think this has been a dumping ground for all kinds of rubbish over the years. So I'm sort of fully expecting, as I go through this, to find some obstacles in my way. I'm already standing on glass. I've got a broken down greenhouse here. I can see a road sign in here, so I don't really know what to expect, but I think there's going to be lots of rubbish in here. My second challenge as well is I'm not actually sure where the door of this barn is. I can't actually see it. I can't see it at the gable end, and I can't see it on this front wall. So I think the best thing to do is sort of try to make a way in here, cross underneath these trees if I can, and hopefully at that point I'll be able to see a door and maybe a way in, and I'll just go from there. And the other challenge I've got is time. I can only use my petrol brush cutter for 2 hours, but I'll explain to you why in a minute. And the brush cutter I'm going to be using today I bought from Screwfix, and it's a Titan TTK 587 25cc 2-stroke petrol multi-brush cutter thing. Now, I bought this from Screwfix a few months ago when they were doing a sale for around about £135, and I know it's gone up quite a bit since then, but maybe it's one of those things in the future you can buy cheaper when it comes to sale time. It's got various heads that you can put on it that are interchangeable depending on what you want to do. The heads are a brush cutter, a line trimmer, there's a hedge trimmer, and also a pole saw. I'm ready for you now. It's also got an extension pole which essentially extends each of these heads if you're wanting to try to cut something high, or maybe to trim a really large hedge, or get to the top of a hedge maybe with a hedge trimmer that's angled so it's horizontal. It also comes with an adjustable harness which helps to take the weight of the unit. I've used this brush cutter a few times already, and being a petrol unit, the one thing I would say is it does have quite a lot of vibration, although it says it comes with an anti-vibration system, but so far I don't really see any evidence of any anti-vibration. It rattles your fillings out for sure. But being serious for a minute, even as a DIYer, you need to be aware of something called HAV, which is hand-arm vibration, and that's the thing that leads to vibration white finger, which can be a really serious medical condition where you start losing blood flow to your fingers due to the fact you're using high vibration machines over long periods of time. Now, this machine I've worked out has a vibration of around about 9 to 10 meters per second squared, and when I calculate that out, that means that I can really only use it for 2 hours a day. That's what's recommended on the UK HSE website. So you need to do your own assessment and work out your own exposure level depending on the machine you use. But it can be serious and definitely something to be aware of. But talking about safety as well, because I've got brambles in here that are very spiky and stinging nettles as well as a standard PPE, which is full face visor and hearing protection as well. I think I need to be completely covered. I've learned that from experience. So no shorts today, although it's quite a nice day, and totally covered from head to foot. It's nothing like getting hit by stinging nettles doing 50 miles an hour. So the blade I'm using on this brush cutter today is an Oregon brush cutting blade. It's a mulching blade that I got from Amazon. I'll put a link in the description below. And what it does is it cuts everything into like 10 or 20 millimeter lumps. And that means that once I've cut everything down here, it can go straight on the compost heap. I'm not shredding it in any way, I'm just collecting it up and putting it away. And I've used this a few times already and it does work quite well, but it does make your teeth rattle for sure. And the whole process is quite tiring. So anyway, after all of that, I think I need to get my harness on, get some petrol in this and start bringing some of this down. The fuel mix is a standard 40:1 two-stroke mix, and the machine actually comes with a handy mixing and measuring plastic petrol can, which I thought was quite a nice touch. The harness is fully adjustable and fits even someone as big as me, and then the tool clips onto it with a quick release type latch, which I found to work okay. I always think that when you're carrying out noisy, dirty jobs like this, using the right PPE not only gives you the protection you need, but also helps you concentrate on the job in hand, because you don't have to worry about getting hit in the face or put up with too much noise. I found with this mulching blade that although you can use it in a side-to-side movement on light foliage, like you would when you're strimming, dealing with the hard stalks of the brambles is best done with an up and down movement. So coming down onto them from above has the biggest chance of cutting right through the thickest stems, especially at ground level. And when the blade hits the thicker stems, it does rely on momentum to keep it turning. So your revs have to be kept up, and the thicker pieces can only be hit for a short time before the blade loses energy and stops. So you naturally end up in this up and down cycle with the blade accelerating and then decelerating as it cuts through these really strong stems. When I use this blade, I'm always surprised and amazed that such dense, thick undergrowth just seems to disappear into a small amount of material on the ground. I've also found that I need to cut right down to ground level, or else you end up with lots of very strong bramble stems sticking up 4 to 6 inches, which can actually make it quite difficult to walk over the area. Oh my God. Well, that was about 30 to 40 minutes of brush cutting only. And I don't know if it looks easy or not, but it really isn't. That vibration in the machine just rattles you to bits. And what you find is, although you've got this on, half the time you're not actually letting it hang on this, you're using both arms. So this is useful only to a point, really just walking around. Maybe when you want to rest. The rest of the time you're actually carrying the machine. And because of the vibration and because of the noise, it's like the completely different end of the spectrum from the steel tools I was using the other day, the chainsaw and the pruner as well. They're like quiet, high quality and a pleasure to work with. This is like the other end of the spectrum. This is hard work and blimmin' noisy as well. I think the neighbours, anyone that's living within about a half a mile radius, is quite aware of what I'm doing. So that's like the first lump of brambles and stinging nettles out the way. I've sort of come across this, I don't even know what this is. Is this a laurel tree or something? It's got some sort of fruit on it. I have no idea what this is. But really I can't go any further at the moment with the brush cutter. I've got to get in there with some loppers and maybe even a chainsaw as well to clear some of this out, and then maybe I'll go a bit further down here. That looks a little bit less dense than trying to go through the middle. And I'm really glad I'm wearing proper safety boots as well, because I've been stepping on glass, I've got steel here, I've no idea what I'm stepping on, and this is like years and years of all kinds of rubbish being thrown down here, so there could well be nails in the timber as well. So I think I'm going to have to get the loppers. Maybe I'll get some of the steel equipment out as well and see if I can get a bit further through this way. I first take the opportunity to clear up whatever I can see underfoot, if I can physically remove it. You'll notice here that I've changed my gloves to a thicker suede type that resists penetration from bramble thorns. These are an old pair that I've had stored for many years that came from Greenham Trading from a long time ago when I worked on a joint venture with Taylor Woodrow back in 1995. These are the sort of gloves that you borrow and then forget to give back. But to be fair, they work really well. However, if anyone from Taylor Woodrow is watching and they want them back, please just get in touch. Gradually, using the combination of lopping shears, hand shears and a handsaw, I make my way further into the undergrowth. As it was, this was so dense I didn't feel able to really use a chainsaw, as a lot of the time I could only see what I was cutting by using my left hand to pull back foliage out of the way, which obviously I couldn't do with a chainsaw. OSB, anyone? This is one of those types of jobs where, although you can't really see where you're going, you know that if you just keep going and persevering and removing branches, you must be moving in the right direction. And then suddenly, with a couple of branches and a piece of timber removed, I realised I was at the corner of the barn, with a window in sight and within reach. There's a water tank above there. So the door is underneath all that rubbish that's lying up against it, which means getting through there, getting through those brambles, taking all that timber away and getting to the door. So I'm afraid this week I'm not going to get inside the barn. It's interesting to see what is inside. Looks like some machinery. There's definitely a water tank, but I'm afraid just because of health and safety, I'm not climbing in through a window, which means I need to get further in that way and remove all of that timber and guttering and steel and everything that's lying up against the doorway. And I just haven't got the time or the energy this time to be able to do that. So I'm afraid you have to call this week a failure. But we did get to the barn. We saw inside. But I think what I'm going to have to do is spend another day clearing all of this, actually going through the door, and then we can have a good look inside to see what I'm left with. What a job.